Sonic Frontiers didn't just shake up the franchise. It kicked the door down, rewrote the script, and left us with something that actually matters for these characters. We're in an era where IDW is giving Sonic lore some actual depth, and a whole new wave of fans is joining the ride. As questionable as their presence may be. But wait, I think I've cracked the code. I found the perfect bridge to get these skibbity-dancing Zoomerlings out of Cringe Central and into the Garden of Eden that is Sonic lore. As long as you don't look too closely at the cursed, unspeakable horrors lurking just beneath the surface. Hello everyone, welcome to Tales Nexus, the only place where the average Tales enjoyer and the average Shadow fan stare each other down with unquantifiable auras. Today, we're diving into something big, something long overdue, something that Sonic Team should have done ages ago, but hasn't for some reason. That's right, we're talking about what a solo Tales spin-off could look like in today's Sonic landscape. What would it play like? What story would it tell? Would it be an absolute banger, or would it end up in the Forgotten Wasteland alongside Tails' Sky Patrol? Let's get into it. Sonic Frontiers left Tails in the perfect position to step out of Sonic's shadow and do his own thing. For once, he's not just following along, he's making his own choices. So let's imagine what a Tails spin-off game could actually look like. The story would take place immediately after Frontiers. Tails is heading home from Starfall Islands, reflecting on everything he's learned about himself. But before he gets too comfortable, a distress signal interrupts his thoughts, coming from West Side Island. When he brings this up to the group, there's a clear shift in the atmosphere. Amy and Knuckles are immediately concerned, ready to take action. But Sonic? He holds back, watching Tails carefully. Instead of jumping in, he leaves the decision up to him. This isn't a test, it's trust. There's a brief moment where Tails hesitates. This is his first real opportunity to handle something alone. Amy is unsure about letting him go solo, believing they work better as a team. Knuckles respects the choice, seeing it as a chance for Tails to prove himself. And Sonic? He's completely confident that Tails can handle this. After some consideration, Tails decides this is his mission. The others respect his decision, but Amy gives him a communicator, reminding him that help is always there if he needs it. With that, Tails leaps from the tornado and soars towards West Side Island, ready to uncover whatever's waiting for him. Now, let's talk about gameplay. Since this is a Tails game, the biggest focus should be on flight and exploration. No Tails is just Sonic but slower nonsense. This would be a full 3D adventure where he plays to his strengths. Tails' first task is to track down the distress signal. Unlike a traditional Sonic game, where the goal is to just rush forward, this would involve scanning the environment, analyzing data, and pinpointing the source of the call. Think of it like a mix between Sonic Frontiers' open zones, Metroid Prime's scanning system, and puzzle-solving elements from Resident Evil. And what better setting for this than West Side Island? This is the first place Tails ever adventured with Sonic, so there's lots of nostalgia tied to it. As he explores, he might even reflect on those early days, remembering what it felt like to look up to Sonic as a hero, rather than as an equal. But things on the island feel off. Structures are damaged, strange hostile mechanical constructs roam around, and the deeper Tails investigates, the more unnatural everything seems. These robotic enemies look similar to Eggman robots, but are faster, hit harder, smarter. And Tails immediately notices something about them after defeating them. There's no little animal that controls them. The game would build tension by making Tails feel alone, but not helpless. Instead of relying on Sonic, he has to rely on his own intelligence, flight skills, and gadgets to navigate and survive. Now, considering this is a game dedicated to the mechanical genius himself, it's only fair that the gameplay reflects Tails' inventive mind. And what better way to do that than with a unique crafting system? Remember that ancient relic of a game, Jimmy Neutron Attack of the Twonkies? Yeah, we're bringing that back. Imagine a free-form crafting system where you can collect random parts throughout the world and experiment with them. Sometimes creating game-changing gadgets, other times making hilariously useless junk just for fun. This would highlight two key aspects of Tails' character. One, his childlike creativity. He's always experimenting and always tinkering. And two, his mechanical brilliance. He doesn't just fix things, he builds entirely new tech from scratch. Tails could salvage parts from defeated robots and repurpose them into power-ups, gadgets, or even vehicles. Imagine being able to build a multi-terrain mech to traverse rough landscapes, create a hoverboard for faster movement across wide open spaces, or assemble a temporary drone companion to scan areas or provide air support. And just for fun, maybe some combinations lead to weird joke inventions, like, I don't know, a rocket-powered pogo stick that's utterly useless but hilarious to use. One thing Frontiers nailed was unlocking new combat and traversal abilities using experience. That system would work perfectly in a Tails game. Instead of gaining purely combat-focused skills, Tails' upgrades could be more about mobility, invention, and puzzle solving. Improved flight stamina, fly longer before getting tired, gadget efficiency, upgraded crafting lets you make stronger or more efficient devices, combat tactics, new ways to outsmart enemies like hacking them to turn them against each other. Now, Tails isn't about brute force, he outsmarts his enemies. Instead of just attacking head-on, combat should encourage things like using gadgets to disable enemies rather than destroy them outright, scanning enemies for weaknesses and finding creative ways to exploit them, or turning enemies against each other by hacking or repurposing their AI. This would make fights feel dynamic and strategic rather than just Sonic but with gadgets. So, here's the problem. Eggman is just too powerful for Tails to take down in a solo game. I mean, come on! This guy has gone toe-to-toe with literal gods, conquered the world at least twice, and just barely survived losing his robot daughter. He's got bigger problems than just picking on Tails. But if not Eggman, then who? Tails doesn't exactly have a rogues gallery of his own. Who is he supposed to fight? Wave the Swallow? The worst she's done is roast his engineering skills, and let's be real, she's not out here building death robots and laying waste to islands. So the obvious answer is that Sonic Team would have to create an entirely new villain for Tails to fight, right? Wrong. Because the perfect antagonist already exists. Now, before we continue, spoiler warning for the IDW Sonic comics. If you haven't read them yet, go read them right now, because they are fantastic. This is your last chance to bail before we get into some heavy spoilers. Enter Dr. Starline. Yes, that Starline. The mastermind platypus, the Eggman fanboy gone rogue, the wannabe genius with an actual PhD in betrayal. This guy is the perfect villain for Tails. Think about it. Tails is a prodigy and Starline is a schemer. Tails fights for good, Starline manipulates and experiments with zero moral restraint, and Tails already beat him once. You think Starline wouldn't be holding a grudge over that? And here's where things get really interesting. Starline doesn't just work alone. Bring in Kitsunami the Fennec, one of Starline's most controversial creations, Kitsunami. Imagine the psychological battle that would unfold here. Kit was literally designed to be a sidekick, manipulated into being someone else's tool. Seeing him face off against the most successful sidekick in Sonic history would be peak storytelling. And let's not forget, IDW is already being referenced in the games. Tango the Lemur is mentioned in Frontiers, so the idea of bringing Starline into the main game universe isn't even a stretch. He fits perfectly as a game villain. Wait, but isn't Starline, dead? Look, if Shadow the Hedgehog can fall into space and survive, then I think a highly intelligent, self-experimenting mad scientist can find a way to cheat death. Besides, who says IDW's timeline isn't running concurrently with the main games? If Frontiers takes place around the same time as IDW, that means Starline could still be active, plotting, waiting for his moment. Now, the reason why this works is Starline vs. Tails is a battle of intelligence. No brute force, just two geniuses trying to outmaneuver each other. It brings IDW into the games in a way that makes sense. Tangle's already referenced, Starline's next. It expands on Tails' character arc. Tails needs a villain who challenges him personally, not just Eggman but slightly weaker. This is the best possible setup for a Tails game. Now, Sonic Team, if you're listening, make it happen! However, that's just the thing. As much as I'd love to see a game like this, I don't think Sonic Team would ever actually make it. And there are a few reasons why. For one, Tails, despite being one of the most beloved characters in the franchise, has always played second fiddle to Sonic. SEGA seems hesitant to let him fully take the spotlight, even though he's more than capable of carrying his own story. On top of that, Sonic games tend to stick to a familiar formula, and a spin-off focusing on Tails' intellect, flight mechanics, and unique gadgets would be a pretty big departure from what we usually get. And let's be real, SEGA has been extremely picky about which characters get major roles in the games, with many fan favorites being sidelined or stuck in side content. Which kinda sucks, honestly. But hey, brainstorming was fun, right? Now, I want to hear from you guys. What would your ideal Sonic game be? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on my next videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep flying high.